my wife Vicky and I were sitting across the dinner table and looked at each other. And I think either she asked me or I asked her, how long have we known Bernice? And neither one of us can remember exactly the year nor the circumstance that brought us and Bernice together. So that either speaks for our memory at our age, or we've gone back so far that it is hard to remember. I think we know Bernice at least for 30 plus years. In the beginning, not being her colleague at Eli Lilly, and she being from Taiwan and we from Hong Kong. It's a little unusual, how things brought us together. As I recall, and I hope I'm correct about that, it was right around the time when the relationship between the United States and China was still a little tense. It was right after the ping pong therapy. The ones who have white hair today in the audience would remember what ping pong policy was all about. But that was, when I first met Bernice, was right around the time when China was about to enter the United Nations and be officially recognized by the United States. Prior to that, and so few of the rebel-rousers in the ethnic Chinese community here said, well, it doesn't make sense, whether we agree with China politically, you cannot ignore a country that has a population of close to, a billion people. And so we were hoping that by setting the two nations on a courteous, normal course of relationship, that would bring, hopefully, peace to the world. So that's how we met. Now, we became good friends. And then I would have to bring up the next big incidents in each of our lives. So one day, this is in the 90s now, Bernice said, Benny, I come up this lump under my left armpit. I don't know what it is. And I'm not touting, my credentials. I am a diagnostic radiologist, but also a radiation oncologist. Whoopie-doo. So she came to me and I said, I said, have you had a mammogram? And she said, yeah, it was negative. And I said, well, in that location, the most common primary location of your tumor would still have to be the breast, whether the mammogram is positive or negative. And then you think of something like the lung and so on and so forth. But she was told by her gynecologist that lump in her axilla, her armpit, would be most likely to have come from her female organs. And I said, no. So anyway, long story short, the matter was resolved when she said, I'm going to go and seek the opinion and help of my big brother and my big sister-in-law. So she went to Boston. And in Boston, they diagnosed that she has a very unusual breast cancer, that he has actually spread to the lymph node, but the primary tumor was very, very tiny, so small that they could not have detected it on the mammogram. So anyway, she got treated properly, and I'm very, very happy. And had, 16 years of very productive and very joyful life. During this period, we have worked together occasionally for Susan Komen. We were in fashion shows and all kind of crazy things.
Yes.
Run some 5K races. And so we kept in touch and had a very good time. So I'm going to keep it short, but I'm going to tell you what really speaks for Bernice as a person. When she came up with her cancer, it's from a different primary, and it was advanced by the time they diagnosed it. And so she and I had talked a little bit and emailed a little bit. And the treatment is not easy. And I know Bernice is not someone who is afraid to face her own mortality. And so it puzzled me why she is so positive throughout repeated courses of different therapies. Because, if it were someone like me, I would go for one course, two courses, but there's some point in time that I would have thrown in the towel, but Bernice never did. But besides courage, she finally revealed to me, she said, I don't care whether some of these treatments are experimental. She said if it's through me that they would have discovered something useful for other patients, it would have been worth it. So I've been in the medical business for 40 years. Besides a good friend, I would have to say I can think of more than a handful of patients who has her kind of nobility besides courage. So what I wrote in her memoriam is onward and forward. That's what Bernice would have wanted us to remember. Always onward and forward.